Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the Weekly Comic Book Roundup. We're close to the halfway point for this week's roundup. Not it'll be split up into 2 days, obviously, due to the sheer size. But anyways, we've covered good chunk of Marvel books. So now let's move on to the Switch competition. Kicking things off, we've got Tales from Earth 6: A Celebration of Stan Lee. So back in 2002, 20 years ago. Well, back in 2002, Stan Lee wrote a handful of one-shots for DC. They were all, just imagine, Stan Lee creating the DC Universe. And it was Stan Lee's take on, the icons of DC. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Aquaman, so on and so forth. And I'm not sure if before they were ever officially made part of the DC Multiverse, but in Dark Crisis: The Big Bang, there was a listing of the world of the various Earths that included Earth 6. Say it was the Earth that the Stan Lee versions of the DC characters exist on. So I'm guessing that we will probably see more than in multiversal stuff moving forward until DC decides to change, destroy, or whatever to their multiverse again. So, a couple of years. Anyway, so there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3. There are 10 stories, nine of which focus on individual characters. None of the stories are written by Stan Lee, obviously, as he passed a few years ago. But we're not really going to focus on the stories. The Batman one, it deals with him basically taking on his version, that Earth's version of Joker, the Choker. Superman opting to stop all war. Wonder Woman, being, Wonder Woman. Got the Flash, Green Lantern, Shazam, Aquaman, Catwoman, Sandman, and finally the Justice League. But we're going to go over the various character bios, talking more about the differences. So, Batman, Wayne Williams, he was framed for a crime he didn't commit, vowed revenge on the man responsible for the crime, for sending him to jail. But he became a pro wrestler, and then took the pro wrestling identity he had, and turned it into a costume hero identity. Superman is Sidon. He's from another world, crash landed on Earth. Eventually, discovered that Earth's technology was too primitive to allow him to return to his Earth, or to his world. Wonder Woman, was young cellist who longed for the days when her homeland was untouched and full of life. But she ended up with the staff of the Sun Goddess, which makes her the protector of the Earth. And this is she basically she picks up. It's similar to the Marvel version of Thor, kind of. Flash is still a speedster. One thing to note is that there are a lot of alliterative names. Stanley clearly loved those. But she was really experimented on as a child and developed super speed. Green Lantern was an archaeology professor, always looking for a new adventure. In Africa, in search of Yggdrasil, the legendary world tree, the tree of life. Len Lewis was double-crossed by his former student, shot by Reverend Dominic Dark when he located the tree, but he was imbued with the power of the tree of life. The power expressed as a green mist pervading the African bog. But he was transformed into being 50% half human, half energy of Mother Earth, reborn as the Green Lantern. Shazam, is an Interpol agent by Robert Rogers. Encountered a follower of Merlin, who on his deathbed had no choice but to entrust the power of Shazam to Rogers. Rogers didn't realize is that he had been picked by Mother Earth to become one of her warriors in the battle against Dominic Dark and his mysterious benefactors. So in the word Shazam, he's transformed into a powerful monstrosity. One fueled by the green mist of the Tree of Life and capable of flight, great feats of strength when connected to a human host. As Shazam, he's not nearly as intelligent as he is in his mortal form. Kind of hulkish there. And relies heavily on the guidance of fellow Interpol agent Carla Norrell. Aquaman. DNA is the blueprint of life, is fitting, it is nothing against your own power. Picked by the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life gave special attention to those involved in taking the uses of DNA to new frontiers. At least that was the case with Ramon Raymond, who injected himself with Rob Raymond injected himself with dolphin DNA as part of an experiment. The experiment failed to use the intended result. However, Rob was chased by a bull shark through a section of water teeming with a glowing green-colored algae, which was affected by the green mist of the Tree of Life. As with Superman and the Flash, the green glowing water enveloped him, yielding a remarkable transformation, now into with the creatures as well as the substance of the oceans. Raymond became Aquaman, one of the most powerful beings in the world. And yeah, Catwoman. Joni Jordan, former supermodel, bathed in the green light, piercing of a cloud of green mist. Joni and her cat became as one. a declaration of balance between humanity and the animal kingdom necessary to sustaining Mother Earth. She's reborn as a fiercely gifted, staggeringly agile being known as Catwoman. Though similar to transformations involving animals such as hummingbirds, such as Mary Maxwell's transformation Super Fast Flash, and dolphins, Ramon Raymond's co-creation as Aquaman, or recreation as Aquaman, Jordan's situation is radically different. Transformed in tandem with another living being, she and her cat are destined to play a vital role in Mother Earth's plans to defend the human and animal kingdoms alike from the growing powers of Dominic Dark. Sandman, a mission to determine if Saturn's moon Titan supports life, was put in grave danger when Brian Blear, a zealous follower of Dominic Dark and his Church of Eternal Empowerment, cut Colonel Larry Wilton's tether during a spacewalk. Though likely doomed by the savage act, Wilton's powerful will to survive kept him alive long enough to reach the mysterious green cloud in the uppermost layer of Titan's atmosphere. Passing easily through the spacesuit, the green energy had an unexpected effect on Wilton, apparently transporting him away from his fall towards Titan to land in another dimension, one known as Dream World, where he met a woman named called Oracle. What role he's to play is unknown. The JLA came together through a mysterious one named Adam Strange to encourage Green Lantern to call upon other new heroes to challenge the menace of the criminal trio called the Doom Patrol. Strange was manipulating the heroes to get them to confront his father, Reverend Dominic Dark, but the United Heroes, calling themselves the Justice League, proved both more dangerous and more effective than Strange expected, resulting in Dark's defeat and Strange's death. But the League's adventures are far from over, as they will soon face a crisis greater than any of them can imagine. And the A is not only standing for America, but at least not for long, but that's a tale for another time, it says. So it looks like we'll be getting a story focusing on the Heroes of Earth 6 and a crisis that they have to deal with. I think I mentioned I've only ever read the Batman one, but I do have to admit the idea is neat, and it is kind of cool seeing DC characters recreated in a similar manner to their Marvel counterparts. Moving on to our next book, we've got Young Justice Targets number 6, wrapping up the miniseries. Where we left off, Princess Perdita was at the mercy of Queen Bee, Simon, and her uncle, Count Vertigo. And Queen Bee and Looker had managed to convince a few members of the security contingent to kill the other members of Young Justice and come to save her. Perdita accuses her uncle of being responsible for all this, but it's not. It isn't. It just kind of worked out that way. His prison break was a distraction, and basically everything that occurred is what was anticipated to happen. And with the border crisis on Markovia, well, revolutions, potentially a nationalistic uprising could happen, and well, every revolution requires its demagogue, and people love a good comeback story. However, it turns out that Tigress planned for Queen Bee's involvement, and Queen Bee's powers were mitigated. And Looker manages to take down Vertigo, Simon, and Queen Bee. And it does seem everyone is A-OK. Tigress and Miss Martian deal with the troops outside, and Miss Martian saves Superboy from Metallo, but opts to let him keep the kryptonite that keeps him alive. The next morning, a few members of the Justice League basically make it clear to Lex Luthor, who's behind all of this, that Princess Perdita is off limits. And the League's got Match back, so they're working on taking care of him as well. Green Arrow, Black Canary, and the rest of the security contingent have all come out of their comas. And all's well that ends well. And our last mission file deals with the history of some of the history of Young Justice with Perdita. Basically, Kid Flash had saved Perdita, had rushed a transplant heart to her, and even dealt with her uncle, who would try to stop him so that Perdita would die. He could just take the throne. But he basically became her security blanket. However, he would eventually die. Basically the rest of Young Justice pretty well said, hey, yeah, Wally may have been the one that made the promise, but we'll continue to honor it. And that is where the series ends. A fun little book. Really makes me want to sit down some point soon and just start watching through the seasons of Young Justice on HBO, and perhaps we will at some point. Moving on to our next book, we've got DC vs. Vampires All Out War, number 6. Where we left off, things were not looking well for Slade and his team. Their mission to get Weather Wizard and have him clear out the ash around the planet. That kind of went sideways when Weather Wizard got turned and then tossed into a Lazarus pit and made worse. But another thought occurred to them. Maybe Captain Cold could help. But they found Cold, encased in ice, seemingly of his own design, in Central City. Apparently, after Flash vanished, all the rogues just good old-fashioned crime spree. Lots of Central City cops quit, but everyone had their own scores basically, and Cold got bitten. So when he realized what was happening, he set up his cold gun and encased himself in ice, hoping maybe by the time he got thawed out, maybe a cure would have been found. So they're trying to figure out the next steps of the plan. What to do next? Constantine shows up and says, "Hey, we're waiting for you in Australia," and also explains how he survived. At the remains of the Flash Museum, Superman shows up and finds Billy's dead body. Cold states that he can at least he can't do what Weather Wizard could do, but he can at least somewhat help. But Superman shows up. And, he ends up killing both Midnighter and Booster Gold. Mary and Superman duke it out a bit. And Superman is run through by Azrael's angelic sword, wielded by Slade, pulling off because he believes in Mary. However, then Slade dies, and Mary flies cold to Australia. Turns out, though, that it wasn't Slade that actually wielded the sword and killed Superman. It was Deadman possessing Slade, and Slade is not as dead as one might think. Our backup story focuses on Poison Ivy. She's apparently become something more. More than she was, not more than just one with the plants, but more. Kind of setting up the concept that if there's another DC versus Vampires story, she's going to be the big bad. And that is where the series ends. This was a fun little book. Nice little side story to the main DC versus Vampires book. Which, speaking of which, is our next book. DC vs. Vampires number 12. Also the final issue of that miniseries. So, where we left off, the Birds of Prey were causing trouble in Gotham. But the tide was starting to turn in favor of the vampires. Australia, things were not looking good, and it seems as though Marsh Manhunter destroyed Supergirl. Oh, also in Gotham, Babs is brought to Wonder Woman has been ordered to bring Barbara Gordon to Dick Grayson, and Harley is coming with. In Smallville, Green Arrow and Grifter's plan is set into motion. Back in Gotham, Dick and Barbara talk, with Harley occasionally interjecting and trying to stake Dick. But Mary Marvel and Captain Cold arrive in Australia. And it turns out that part of the plan of Green Arrow's plan is using arrows made from Swamp Thing, and that is enough to wipe out Hawkman. But Cold says he probably can't do it. He probably can't do what he thought he could, but fires a bolt of ice up into the air, and well, looks like it worked. This seems that Supergirl gets up with glowing red eyes, and well, Jean and the other vampires start to burn away. Well, it worked. But Dick, back in Gotham, Dick turns Barbara, and then he gets her to feed off of Harley. Of course, Harley has injected herself with the vial of blood she got from Jim Gordon, which kills Dick. And now Babs is the queen of the vampires. However, the blood farm is freed. And yeah, it looks like a lot of people are running in circles that it's all basically all part of a plan. And that is where the series ends. Yes. It was a fun book. Still irritated that they had turned Dick Grayson into, Vampire King. But anyway, moving on to our next book, we got DCeased, War of the Undead Gods, number 5. Where we left off, things were not looking good. The League, the assembled Heroes of Earth 2 were trying to convince the Guardians of Oa to help with a plan of distributing a cure for anti-life. But on Earth 2, Black Racer shows up with Big Barda and Mr. Miracle. They just say, things are not going as well as one might hope. But Mixie and Ares have a bit of a standoff, and then Wonder Woman explains the truth. It's not anti-life. Or it's not just anti-life. It's Erebos. And that changes the Guardians' tune pretty substantially. So the Quintessence is summoned. And it turns out that Kilowog's homeworld is the current target of Darkseid and his forces. And so the plan is that Superman, Clark, and Mixie and some of the Green Lanterns are going to go and try to do what they can to stop the spread. Things seem to be going fine until Superman faces another Kryptonian, Kara, his cousin, who has been turned. And Mixie, well, he finds Sinestro, but Sinestro shows Mixie the equation and turns him. Keep in mind that Mr. Mixoplitic has god-level powers. He's a mischief imp. And so John Stewart and Kilowog do what they can to fight him off, and, well, they get crushed. And Mixie returns to Oa and destroys the battery, which leads to almost every lantern active nearly suffocating in space. Gant is talking to the Quintessence, and the Spectre goes into action, revitalizing the battery and drawing a sword, manifesting a sword to take on Mixoplitic. And that is where the issue ends. This book is... I'm a fan of the DCeased books. I love, and it's like as much. I hope that once. I'm sure there are plans for additional stories afterwards, as it does seem to be a success. So, moving on though to our last book for the moment, we've got Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead, number 4. Where we left off, Rock and Easy Company were going deeper into enemy lines. Going after Hitler's doctor. But they're doing what they can to take care of the reanimates, but they end up at a checkpoint. And, well, a couple of the reanimates are sent to investigate the back of the truck Easy Company's using and get flamethrowered. Easy Company opts to take over the checkpoint, but as they continue to follow the Doctor, a machine gun encampment further damaged the truck, making it unusable. And the zombie soldier is destroyed. And so Rock and Four Eyes continue on after the dock. Killing a few more regens as they go. Eventually, they kind of have to quiet down a bit as they're in a populated area, but Morel, the Doctor, goes into an abandoned warehouse, which has a secret entrance, and across the way, Rock and Morel realize that they found Hitler. But there's some bad news. Rock lost his Zippo. And that is where the issue ends. It's a fun little book so far. But that is going to do it for now. We'll be back tomorrow, or, well, I guess technically you can call it later on today, with the rest of this week's roundup, or this and last week's roundups. But as always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.